are St. Maarten. You are St. Maarten.
The URSM, the Unified Resilient St. Maarten Movement, being a political movement, will be hosting a weekly radio program called You Are St. Maarten, every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on the Radio Mix 94.7 FM. I myself, Dr. Mercelina, the political leader of URSM, will be hosting this radio program in which current issues, actualities and general topics will be discussed with the people of St. Maarten. So join us every Wednesday on Radio Mix 94.7 for our radio show You Are St. Maarten.
You are St. Maarten. You are St. Maarten.
Dear people of St. Maarten, good evening. Welcome to your radio program You Are St. Maarten on Radio Mix 94.7 FM. I myself, as usual, Dr. Mercelina, will be your host in this radio program, and as you know, I'm not only the surgeon in St. Maarten, serving the people of St. Maarten since 1999, but I'm also the founder and the leader of the URSM, the Unified Resilient St. Maarten Movement. That's a new political party that will contest the upcoming parliamentary elections for country St. Maarten. And as things are looking, I still believe that our election will be in January, but you never know with this government, whatever happens. Anyway, we from the URSM can give you the guarantee that we are ready for the upcoming parliamentary election. The URSM is completely prepared to contest this election, so we are looking forward to your support for us to be part of the upcoming government for country St. Maarten in 2024. As you know, the URSM stands for putting the people and the country above self and believes in educating and informing our people of our country. We strongly believe that there should always be a sound balance between economic growth and the welfare status of our society. We are presenting a weekly program in which current topics, community developments and issues and general matters concerning the people of St. Maarten are being discussed. Most of the time we have also an invité in our radio program, and today we have as invité we have a very known politician with a great heart for our country in the name of Gracita Arrindell. As you know, Gracita has the necessary mileages already on the meter. She has been there for a while already in politics. So in principle, I thought it would be great to have a person with a lot of experience in the political arena of St. Maarten that will be part of our discussion of today. As you know also, Gracita will be running with us on our political movement, the URSM, the Unified Resilient St. Maarten Movement. Gracita, the first place, because of your great integrity, because of your great love for St. Maarten, and realizing that you have been the first president of Parliament for country St. Maarten, I think it's more than an honor to have you here with us in our radio program. Gracita, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mercelina, leader of the URSM movement. I'm very happy to be part of your program again today, and it is something that you have started out from the outset.
Yes.
To inform the people and keep the people of St. Maarten, our citizens, engaged and informed as to the latest issues that we are faced with in our country, but more than that, how URSM intends to solve these issues and ensure that the people of St. Maarten have a quality of life that we deserve.
Exactly, that's nicely said. Gracita, you came in the radio station today and said, Doc, today I'm going to talk, because yesterday was the International Day for the Elderly.
Correct.
We cannot pass this topic, so we have to make a pit stop. And yesterday was the Day of the Elderly. Gracita, tell us, because our elderly are suffering in our country.
Yes, they are. First of all, congratulations to all of the our elderly citizens who have been able to reach this far to be among us. But at the same time, we know, Doc, that the elderly have become a very, very vulnerable group in our society, together with the young, very young people, but the elderly. We need to give them priority in our policies and program. It is so disheartening when we see a country that we purport to have over $2 billion economy. However, when you look at our people, at our elderly, which I think the pensionados, the amount of pensionados, if my information serves me well, are about 8,500 pensionados. That's a big chunk of our people, big group of our society that are marginalized, Doc. You're a physician.
I know.
Daily work, and
I'm
you see
telling
that. And but my mom is still alive. My mom is 89. But I meet people here, whether they're standing in the lines in the bank stock or standing in the hot sun to get a bus, or they are at GBE with or without assistance. When you go into the neighborhoods, when you go to the supermarkets, or you're driving around, especially on Saturdays, where the churches and other NGOs give out food, the soup kitchens. People of St. Maarten, Doc, the lines are getting longer. It's getting longer. It is so disheartening.
In 1999, when I started working as a surgeon, you did not know about those lines. And now with the years, only the lines have been formed.
That's correct.
But they're getting, with
longer.
The years, longer and longer. And I think that's an alarming sign,
of where society
giving a
stands
signal to us that something is completely out of balance in our community.
Correct.
And Gracita, for me too, I want to make use of this opportunity to congratulate the elderly on International Elderly Day that took place yesterday. But at the same time, I think it's a moment for reflection in our community to realize that there is little to congratulate on, because the elderly, they are suffering in our country. And, Gracita, it starts with, for example, I think that the spending power of the elderly are getting less and less, because everything, the prices are getting higher and higher for example, food, for bread, for gasoline, for everything. But the
pension is little. It's
and
nothing.
The pension stays status quo, although everything around this pension is getting more expensive. And I do believe, although I'm not an economist, that I do believe that for us to combat this poverty, you have to increase the spending power of the elderly. You cannot say no, but it's going to go hand in hand with the increase in prices, and at the end of the day, nothing is going to happen. People just need more liquidity, more cash in their pocket to take care of their own. And if we do not do that, we're going to continue contributing to the progress of poverty in our country. Another way to do it too, everybody's talking about it, and I really think the URSM will have to look into it once we are in government, is that they have paid already their tax on their premiums that they have paid and contributed in the time that they were working.
Correct.
And all of a sudden now they have to get the money back, and then they're going to tax them again on their pension. And I think that means that twice they're going to hit them, while they have paid already their shared part already on the taxes for country Sint Maarten. I really think also, Gracita, hand in hand with the spending power of the elderly that we have to work on, I think we have to make sure that the elderly all have good access to health care in our country, because I see a lot of things go wrong with the health of individual elderly because of a very, very dubious insurance that they thought they had that they don't have. And as I told many already in the past, 25% of our populace on the Dutch side compared to the French side, 25% of our populace is not insured on the Dutch side. That's 1 out of 4, while it's more than 92% on the French side. So there is a lot of work for us to make sure that our people are well well insured for medical care, because you never more know when your healthcare has a challenge, and you have to knock on the door of healthcare. We have to make sure that they have an insurance, and on the other side, we have to make sure that we have a steady, good, reliable healthcare to serve the people of St. Maarten with. So the elderly has our attention, and for sure the URSM is very, very aware about the challenges that our people are encountering in this community at this particular moment. On the other side, Gracita, I do not have the feeling, and I don't feel it, that the current government is realizing what really the people of St. Maarten is going through to survive the day, because every day is now another dollar, and that's the way they are moving, and we have the impression we will survive it. I do believe that if we did not have the private sector to carry on you through these difficult times, I think the government would not have been able to do nothing for the people of St. Maarten. And gradually now the people are realizing that we cannot continue with the government that we have at this particular moment. People are waking up. Yep. People are getting the hard way a wake-up call about their own situation that they're in, and they realize that if we continue voting the same way, we're going to get more of the same, and there will never come a change that is going to contribute to the prosperity of our people.
Correct,
of course.
Correct.
A second, yes, sorry?
No, I just want to continue dovetailing in what you said, because our citizens, our senior citizens, Doc, it connects also with the quality of their lives, the social homes. After all these years, 6 years, there's still many, many homes that are still not repaired for our elderly. So the purchasing power is one. How we deal with our elderly in terms of their healthcare situation, indeed is two. Their income is three, but also how they live, the quality of their lives. How do we measure, how does a nation measure its progress? By the way, how you treat the most vulnerable in your society, in our society. Yep. And these are our elderly. And I'm afraid that because it's political season, that you'll suddenly start seeing certain assistance going out short term. And I really want to caution the people of St. Maarten for that, Doc, that this is an opportunity with the new elections to have a new government in place with the URSM in the lead, so that we could fulfill the promises to our elderly and to the citizens of St. Maarten.
Yep.
And with the policies and programs that we are going to put in place, because we know who these people are. They are in the census. We see them every day. So these are not strangers that just landed on the island. These are people who, through their blood, sweat, and tears, invested, paid their dues, and now they are suffering. And we should not let them suffer for a second time by people taking advantage of them short term, to give them a little gift here and there, and then after elections are over, we forget them. We promise and guarantee the people of St. Maarten, the elderly, the pensioners, that the policies and programs that URSM will put in place, that the people of St. Maarten, the elderly, will see the improvement in the quality of their lives within short term. Because, I mean, they are at the horizon, as I say, at the sunset of their lives. And so they don't have time to wait another 10 years.
No way.
They can't.
No way. But I see it also, Gracita. We see a lot of elderly coming to the hospital. For example, they fell, they have a hip fracture, and you see that they were living under such difficult circumstances.
Poverty.
And at the end of the day, family realizes too that there is actually no place for them once we discharge them from the hospital. And then we have a second challenge from the hospital is, what are we going to do with our elderly that actually deserve a good quality of life for the last phase of their life? And on one side, we realize that the St. Maarten's home is completely full. And I don't see this government moving in a way from, okay, what more can we construct, what more can we plan to actually alleviate the accommodation necessities of the elderly in our society. And these are things that we have to be hands-on the moment we get in government.
One of the solutions is assisted living. I spoke about that in another program
yes.
several times, also earlier this year. And there are persons who are qualified in St. Martin from the private sector who wants to, with a certain background, psychologists, psychiatrists, who would love to start a assisted living facility like you have in the U.S. and Holland and other countries who care for their people.
But Rashid, on the other hand, you have to work to have a budget too, because these organizations demands a lot financially too.
Well, definitely, but as I said, from the private sector, these are private sector persons who would like to set up an assisted living facilities, and yes, then the family members and others would have to assist in that, but at least the quality will be there in terms of the program, the assistance that they deserve to have, and live their lives out in a qualified and dignified manner.
Actually, and Gracita, if I'm very critical to my own society, we see that we are actually failing on all fronts. Our education system is failing, our care for our elderly, as we discussed, is failing. Our healthcare, although I'm one of the pillars of the healthcare of St. Martin, I have to be very honest with myself and say there is a lot more that we can do to offer the people of St. Martin. Actually, on all fronts, we are starting to fail. Yeah. We are starting to tumble, and I think it's time now for the people to realize that. I cannot imagine the people going to election time in January upcoming, and they're going to vote again for the same people that are going to continue doing the same. And if you want to change tomorrow, you have to start changing today. So I hope that the people will wake up, will realize that there are other options for them for the nearby future. Yeah. And the URSM, of course, is counting on all of you outside there for a great change for the future of Country St. Martin.
And for your own quality of your life.
Of course. Another quality of life that we can experience is also through improving our infrastructure, Gracita. There's a lot going on with the infrastructure because we're telling ourselves we need the tourists to come here. Yeah. We have to make sure that we treat them good. We have to make sure that we have a good infrastructure to carry this touristic economy that we have. Tell me what you think about this infrastructure challenges, Gracita.
St. Martin has grown, as we know, Doc, exponentially with many more citizens, residents, but also from a tourism perspective. So we have lots of road traffic. Our infrastructure, we passed the critical point of having that balance of road traffic and adequate road system. And if the traffic congestion is hurting the quality of our lives because we live here, but it also hurts the quality of our tourism product. Persons don't want to come from New York or Europe and be stuck for hours in traffic, behind quads, behind buses, because buses stop every 2 seconds. I mean, it's madness.
It's madness.
It is madness. And I'm driving around, I'm thinking, this cannot continue. It cannot continue. We need to bring in, together with our local expertise, Doc, persons who are qualified in doing urbanization, urban planning, number one, and also traffic. How do you redirect, prepare our traffic system that our residents can see a significant flow change in how our traffic flows. Because it's not flowing, it's jammed.
It's jammed.
It is jammed. So I'm not an expert, but we do, and I do have the vision, again, and the knowledge and the network to sit at a table with persons who does this for a living. And St. Martin is small. St. Martin is a very small island. If you take away the ponds, there's a very small land mass that we have left.
But Gracita, a lot of people doesn't know, but St. Martin is the 10th highest country in population. Because we have, of course, the hillside policy. If you take that into consideration and the livable areas on the island, we are classified as the 10th most populated country in the world. So if
That's
we don't
a
start,
call.
of course, but yes, of course. That means that we have to start planning our infrastructure, otherwise it cannot carry the demands of the use of traffic
Yep.
in our community. But Gracita, you said something very important just now also is our transportation system in St. Maarten. We realize that behind each bus that we see on the road, a family depends on that income of that bus. You have to be realistic too, and we have to know that it's a lot of people gain their income by being in the transportation sector of passengers. That we have to respect that, and it is a reality that we have a lot of people that owe their income by being part of this public transportation. But I do believe, though, and the URSM also, that we have to organize this public transportation. And I do believe, for example, in not taking it away from the people, because behind every bus a family is eating.
That's
So
correct.
I do believe, though, that we have to organize it in a way that we can do it in a form of a transportation authority, and that we can control it bigger, organize better our bus stops where we can really
We need that.
need a bus stop and
Yeah.
stop that every bus, depending on the call in the bus, just stops because somebody wants to get out of the
Doc,
bus.
let's be frank. It
I
is
think
madness.
that's not correct. Yes, it's
It is
madness.
madness.
Yeah.
It is unacceptable. St. Maarten has grown. It's not like 20, 30 years ago.
Yes.
And with the infrastructure again, indeed, the Ministry of Romy, together with the traffic police, together with the traffic experts, will have to sit down with our new government and say, okay, this is how
How
we're
we're going to
solve
do
the
it.
problem.
Yes.
And involve the stakeholders. If bus
Of course.
drivers are stakeholders, taxi drivers, rental companies are stakeholders. But we need to sit and have this public-private partnership
Yes.
and sit down as adults and
Yeah.
say, okay, this cannot continue.
No, we
People
cannot.
want a resolution, Doc. I'm going crazy.
Yes.
I drive around
true.
and this
No.
cannot be a sit and wait. That's why we're running for office.
Yes.
And that's why we're going to bring the solutions
For the people.
for us, so that we could show that we have an island that is beautiful, that
And
people
well
respect,
organized.
and well organized, where everyone, indeed, that are here
Yeah.
can have a decent living and
Respectable living.
feed a family.
Yeah, of
but
course.
it cannot continue as a free-for-all.
No.
It is madness. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yes, and you know, this chaos, if it continues like this, it's going to actually work against ourselves, because we think that it's a system that can go on like the party will never end.
No.
The party is ending already, and a lot of people are suffering at this particular moment, and we have to wake up now and do what we have to do. And as you said, we have to arrange our infrastructure. We have to improve our infrastructure, and one of the things that is in this traffic use is, for example, organizing the public transportation, and I do believe we have to crystallize it in the form of a well-controlled transportation authority with controllers on the road. So if the bus stops in an incorrect place, in not the dedicated bus
Assigned
pit
bus
stops,
stops.
you're going to get a fine. And no
Absolutely.
discussion, because we have to start hands-on, organize, and reorganize the St. Maarten, because otherwise it's going to get completely out of hand. By the way, it's getting out of hand already.
Yeah.
So this infrastructure is future work for the URSM, because I'm convinced that the URSM will be part of the upcoming government.
I would like to add as well, Doc, the infrastructure is not only the traffic situation and congestion, and as we mentioned, the bus stops, etc., but also parking.
Yes.
Parking is a huge issue. And in every normal country, you would pay $1.50, whatever, to do your short stops, do your business, go shopping, do your stuff, and then you leave a park, you give somebody else an opportunity. But the situation for forever has been that people come, they park the cars or buses, and they leave for 8 hours. So persons who really want to shop, so it's not really helping the economy either by driving around in circles to park. So we need a decent parking policy with paid parking in Phillipsburg and outside of Phillipsburg. That too requires a public-private partnership. I'm sure there are persons who are ready and able to do that, and that too will increase our
Revenues.
level of quality of life in this country.
Exactly. And Gracita, on the one side to demand payment for parking is one, but as a government you have the responsibility to offer a correct infrastructure for that too.
Yeah,
so you cannot
definitely.
just charge the people and the parking space is not adequately organized. And we have as a government to do our part, share part too,
For sure.
to make sure that once we charge people to make use of public parking, that they get quality too for what they're paying for, that there's a correct meter there, that the parking controllers are there, that the allotted place is correctly indicated. So there's a lot that government has to do too, instead of just saying, no, everybody has to pay what I think should happen, but because it brings revenues also to the country.
Much needed.
But on the other side, we have to also do our part as government and organize it in a great way to sell it to the people of Sint Maarten.
And what do you think, Doc, of as part of the infrastructure, our inventory of hotels, 5-star hotels?
Yeah.
Because when we mention infrastructure, again, it's not only the roads on the mainland, it's also the inroads of the places like Nazareth, Dutch Quarter, Cold Bay, KB. So it's an overall plan, but in terms of property, infrastructure also includes having 5-star hotels.
Absolutely, because we need, at the end of the day, we need income revenues to manage this country. So we will have to pay attention to investors too. That is going to create more job opportunities also for our people. Gracita, in conclusion, a lot still has to be done for our people of Sint Maarten.
And
I have only...
Right?
Pardon?
And we are ready, right?
We are ready. We are ready for it. So it's at the end of the day, I'm just counting down the days. To tell you honest, I cannot wait on January for the people to give this URSM the mandate to take over the government of this country. Gracita, we have a few interesting topics discussing with each other, but unfortunately time is running on us. I'm going to take a small break and I will be back in a few minutes. Dear people of Sint Maarten, welcome to the second half of our radio program, You Are Sint Maarten. We have in our program today with us the very, very committed, passionate politician that we know already for years in the name of Mrs. Gracita Arrindell. And Mrs. Gracita is, of course, very, very enthusiastic and very motivated to contest the upcoming parliamentary elections because she really believes that a big change must take place in this country. And she is contributing her part to make sure that that will happen in the nearby future of this beautiful country, Sint Maarten.
Together we can do it.
Together we're going to do it, and as everybody knows, I will repeat it, Gracita is not only contesting the upcoming parliamentary elections for country Sint Maarten as such, but she made a choice to do it on the slate of the URSM, the Unified Resilient Sint Maarten Movement, and if the way I feel it on the street, people are very enthusiastic that Gracita is back with her passion, with her vision, with her education, with her background, with her experience. And I think this Gracita, of course, has a lot to offer country Sint Maarten. So everybody has a choice, and one of them is Gracita Arrindell. So if it's for us, please give your trust to Gracita or one of the other candidates of the URSM, because I really believe that the URSM will be the difference for country Sint Maarten. Gracita, yesterday I was reading... Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Gracita, yesterday I was reading the newspaper, and they were talking again with our poor people of our country that they're going to introduce a Caribbean guilder for Curaçao and for Sint Maarten. Gracita, every time I read anything in the newspaper concerning this Caribbean guilder, I don't know if my blood pressure goes up or goes down, but something unpleasant happens to me, and I will explain you why, especially when I read yesterday in the newspaper that for the introduction of a Caribbean guilder, that, by the way, in the suffering of this country, this particular moment, nobody's waiting on, it's going to cost us 15 million Antillean guilders to introduce this new currency for country St. Maarten. Although it will be related and connected to the US dollar, I still believe it's a waste of money. And Dr. Mercelina and the URSM dares to say that we do not believe in the Caribbean guilder. Maybe it's going to hunt me back in the future. I don't care, but as a leader, you have to have a stance, what you want with your country. And the only thing I can tell all those that are pro this Caribbean guilder, if this dollar is the official currency of Bonaire, that is a Basque island, of Statia, that is a Basque island, and Saba, that is a Basque island, I'm asking myself, what is so special on St. Maarten that this dollar cannot be the currency for country St. Maarten, while the whole economy of St. Maarten is relying on the US dollar. I find it a very strange development that Bonaire is with the currency of the US dollar, Saba and Statia the same. So if it's good for Bonaire, it's good for Saba, and it's good for Statia, I think it should be good for St. Maarten also. What do you think, Gracita?
Well, it has been good for us for a while, though with caveats, because, we don't print our money.
Yeah.
We depend on the U.S. Treasury for that.
Yeah.
But it is a factor that has been guiding and pushing our economy for all these decades.
Yeah.
And once a decision is made, again, and the new government has to make that decision, if that is indeed the way to go to accept or introduce this new Caribbean guilder. To us, for me, it's a pass station.
Yes,
that we passed a station already. It's now almost 14 years after we achieved our new status, 2024. So there are more urgent priorities right now that our people are faced with, and I think that decision has to be made known. It should be halted. It's not a priority, and we need to, if it's up to me, put it to a referendum. What do people decide? But guided by our people.
Yes.
I know that one of the caveats of the dollar that we keep saying that we're losing lots of money because we have a lot of people who send out remittances outside of St. Maarten.
Yes.
And that is hurting our budget as well. So we must be realistic in that concern as well. But there are policies that you can take, there are measures that you can take to mitigate the extra outflow of our dollars, our monies, our hard-earned income out of this small economy. That is something that we have to sit down and discuss with the experts. But to come back to the core point of introducing a new currency after 14 years, since 10, that's going to cost us so much money. Let's prioritize our monies, our income, by putting it into making sure that the people of St. Maarten, the citizens, that social housing are adequate, that our elderly are taken care of, that our schools are taken care of.
Of course.
Our infrastructure. Let's invest that money where the people feel it most.
Yes. And especially, Gracita, realizing how challenging it is now for us to run our country with the limited budget that we have. I can imagine that we have 15 million in reserve to spend on an introduction of a Caribbean guilder. Nobody in St. Maarten is waiting on this Caribbean guilder at this particular moment, and I do believe it takes leadership to stand up for the people of St. Maarten and say, guys, sorry, this dollarization, this Caribbean guilder introduction is not going to take place. I just want to recall the big boss of the Central Bank of Curaçao in St. Maarten, the president, Mr. Doornbosch, in the Daily Herald of February the 2nd, 2021. He made a statement saying that dollarization should not have a big impact on the economy of St. Maarten.
Correct.
So I will always recall him in that. So at the moment I see that he's promoting again this Caribbean Guilder, I will always grab my article in the Daily Herald that he is stating that dollarization should not have a big impact. And of course, the central bank is going to lose its role as the leader of last resort for its banking system. I understand that for the central bank, and of course, they do not want to lose that position. You will still need, of course, a type of organization as a central bank for the code of conduct supervision. This one, yes. Of course. You need it also for the supervision of the prudential regulations. I understand that too. And for the payment oversight, you always need a central bank. And of course, for example, in time of crisis management, you need, for example, a organization as a central bank for example, the deposit guarantee scheme that you have going on. So I understand that on one side you will have still the necessity of having
the oversight,
of course, but on the other side is going to lose its important position by leading and controlling what is going on in St. Maarten, because the moment you dollarize your economy, the central bank will lose its position as the one seated in the driver's seat and will have to go in the back benches of the car. And I understand that for the central bank that is a painful step to do. But at the end of the day, I'm not here for the central bank. I'm here for the people of St. Maarten. So I dare to say that I'm a person that would like to see dollarization of the economy of St. Maarten. At the other side, the central bank is trying to convince everybody that by introduction of the dollar, you're going to stimulate inflation. I can tell you that is not the case, because with inflation, you already are paying locally in dollars, and you are paying your import also in dollars. So actually, there can never be inflation if the products that you buy are being paid in dollars, and you're going to sell them also in dollars on the local market. So that story of inflation with introduction of the US dollar, I do not believe in it.
It's not a statutory thing.
No, absolutely not.
It fluctuates.
Absolutely.
It goes with the economic ups and downs. So
exactly.
It's not cast in stone.
So, Gracita, we are going to try to be in government in January, and there are going to be some revolutionary standpoints and changes that we dare to stand for. And at the end of the day, we will have to do what is correct for country St. Maarten. And in a democratic system, whatever decision a government takes, the task is to make sure that it actually serves the bigger group. So as long as you take decisions that is going to favor the common cause, I think we should take it. And of course, there will always be groups in society that will be against some decision that we will take. But at the end of the day, we are here to please the majority, and that's why we have a democracy.
That's correct.
Because that's the way we came in power too, by a democratic voting system. And once we are in, of course, we have to take decisions. Anyway, we will take decisions that this government is not taking. And if you want progress in a country or movement, you have to take decisions. Yeah. And from the 10 decisions you take, perhaps 8 will be okay, 2 will be okay. I better have not taken them. But that's the errors of life, and we will have to live with them. But at the end of the day, I think the URSM has the guts, the kudos to take decision and try to wake up this economy of this country, and at the end of the day, favor the general well-being of the people of St. Maarten.
We have no choice, Doc.
We have no choice now.
The stagnation, and some people say, well, we see a decline. So from the stagnation or decline or standstill, we need to get out of this rut.
Yeah.
We need to feel a difference. Once we are in government, the people need to feel it and see it and say, yes, we can breathe, we are happy. Let's make St. Maarten beautiful again. Man.
Let's make St. Maarten a great place again. It's not, but we're going to try to make it back a great place.
Absolutely.
For our people. We deserve it. So St. Maarten is a very special place, but we have to treat it nice for it to stay a beautiful place for all of us.
Correct.
Gracita, one more thing. I'm talking about also improvement of the healthcare.
Yes.
And as I said just now, 25% of our society, people don't know these figures. I know, of course, because it's my baby. Is 25% of the Dutch side of St. Maarten does not have a health insurance. I think that's killing for a country. Secondly, a too high percentage of the populace is undocumented, but they get sick. And they have right to get sick too, because that is the rules of nature. And they have right to get health care too. So that means that we will have not to be aggressive against foreigners. No, absolutely not, because St. Maarten has become a great country due to contribution of foreigners too. But on the other side, for us to make it a balanced way that we can be responsible with our finance and with our healthcare, we will have to do also something with the immigration in a way that we have a better control of what is going on in St. Maarten. And these are sensitive topics, I realize that. But at the other side, if we want change, if we want organization, if we want prosperity, and we want a higher level standard of life for the people of St. Maarten, we will have to start taking decisions, and we cannot stay in the phase of accepting everything to go along. I mean,
just to get along.
To get along.
Because we're stuck.
Yes,
we are
because
stuck.
And we are not politicians for the popularity. It's not for us a popularity contest. We are going into this because we are serious people. We have an idea, we have a vision, and we want to execute. And I think if the people trust us, give us the necessary space to take our decisions, at the end of the day, they will realize that we have a good heart and a good intention for the common man on the street. And at the end of the day, they will start seeing small changes, and all of a sudden they will understand that the URSM is a totally different type of a political party than what is now governing this country.
Correct. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Doc, with the healthcare issue. Again, personally, I have experienced it, and Doc, I will do everything possible with our party for our country, that people do not have to suffer because of the institutions not being connected the way they should be.
Yes,
I'm speaking out of experience, people. It shouldn't happen. It will not happen, and there's a lot of space to fix those things that are fixable.
Of course.
And by turning a blind eye and say, well, okay, it's not about me and my family, let's walk away. No. If your family hurts, my family hurts, and all of us hurts. And St. Maarten is too precious for our residents, but also for our tourists. And if someone gets sick, for the dots, and for me the dots are the different institutions that are connected in terms of healthcare, not to be firmly connected, that the people understand the system, that they're not going from hot to tot, from door to door, like lost. And I'm an intelligent woman, and I experienced that. It was like, no, this cannot continue.
No.
So that's where we need to sit with the healthcare providers, every single one of the groups, and say, how can we fix it that the people, the citizens, the clients, our elderly don't feel lost?
Yes. And they take decisions, Gracita. At the end of the day, politicians know what has to happen, but they don't do it because they're going to lose votes, they're going to lose their popularity. Gracita, I'm telling you, I do not care. I just want this place to
run normal.
I have kids here. I want to offer my kids a future in their country where they're born. And if I want that for my kids, I want it for your kids also. And they have the right for that too. And that's why the URSM is a government. Not to be popular, no. The URSM is going to get in government to take decisions with vision, well-balanced decisions that is going to actually favor the majority of the people. And I will repeat, not all decisions will comfort everybody, but that is also impossible. So we will have to see how we can comfort as much people as possible. Further, Gracita, before we come to ending of this program, I would like to give you the floor for you to have a few great messages for the people that are intending to vote for you.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you again for the opportunity to be able to work again on and for the people of St. Martin. And we can do that again because St. Martin needs a caring and responsible government. That's my message. St. Martin needs a caring and responsible government that provides for the basic human needs of all people, Doc, by ensuring, again, safe, decent, affordable housing, quality education. We spoke about it several times. Safe streets and neighborhoods. Our plan to reduce poverty and increase our well-being. Plans that will have a better road system, reducing traffic congestion and stuff like that in our neighborhoods. Doc, no one should be left behind in this country. No one should be paying more than someone else. Everyone should pay their fair share. We need to increase and bring back the trust in politics and in governing of St. Martin. And the decline in trust and sociability in St. Martin is very evident. We see it every day. And I think this is a great opportunity at the end of the 4-year term of the present government that the people could sit back and acknowledge and say, you know what, it is time to bring URSM into office and bring back quality for St. Martin people again. Let's make St. Martin beautiful again. Thank you so much.
Nicely said, Gracita. As you said in your last sentence, it's time for a change, and the change will be directly after the upcoming elections for Country St. Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thanking you out of my heart for your support in the upcoming election, because I really believe that St. Martin needs a change. And this change can only happen with your support, because it's in your hands. It's not in my hands. I can offer a new movement to the populace of St. Martin, but at the end of the day, it's your will and your power that is going to determine the future of this country. And what I can do as leader of the URSM with my great group of candidates is to offer the package to you, but it's up to you to make the right decision for the future of yourself and also the future of your kids.
That's correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking your time out to be with us in this radio program. And once more, Rosita Arrindell, thank you once more for, at the first place, to be a candidate on this promising URSM. And secondly, for you to be today with us in our radio program. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to see you back, to have you back in our program next week, Wednesday, from 6 to 7 p.m. on Radio Mix 94.7.
And please speak to your friends, your families, your neighbors to come out and support URSM. We need your support.
Guys, we need your support because the change has to take place for Country St. Martin. Good night, until next week.